Many US e-commerce businesses will go bankrupt because of the tariffs, and it's very frustrating the way they were implemented. But the net result is going to be higher margins and better profitability for US e-commerce sellers over time. So let's start with the elimination of Section 321. So every year, $100 billion worth of goods are brought into the US tariff-free, primarily by Chinese sellers. Now, you might think, yeah, that's the Shein, Temu, little crappy stuff that they send direct. But actually, a lot of those products are sent in to Amazon in bulk. You're like, wait, but it's an $800 limit. How could they be sent in bulk? Well, the way they do it is, first of all, the government did not have a way of tracking what shipments were sent from the same seller at the same time. So they would break up into different shipments, but send many a day into Amazon and send every day. And if you send many a day, every day, you can actually get quite a lot of goods into the country by keeping it under $800. And secondly, they would lie on the invoice amount. So they would say it's $800 really, or $799 really. It might be a couple $1,000s or even more. But because the process basically was a fast lane, nothing was inspected, they were able to bring in billions of dollars of goods tariff free. Now, where'd those items go? They mostly sold on Amazon. About a third of all Amazon merchandise is Chinese sellers. So those are not US entities with Chinese ownership. Those are actually Chinese entities selling in the US. About a third, and Amazon is about half of e-commerce. So it's dominated by these Chinese sellers. And part of the reason is that they're able to bring the items in tariff free. So the elimination of Section 321, the last day of it is May 1st, so really coming up really soon, is going to change the market and get rid of that big competitive advantage that Chinese sellers had and should never have had. So I'm all for competition. This was an unfair advantage that they had. And we're saying we're America first, so getting rid of that was good, but we should keep going. So there's two other ways that Chinese sellers commit fraud and benefit where US companies cannot. So they set up what is called an NRI, a non-resident importer. That allows Chinese sellers to bring goods into the United States without having an entity in the United States. How does that help them? Well, then they can lie on the amount of goods that they're bringing in, the value of the goods they're bringing in, and pay a lower tariff amount because the ramifications for getting caught are pretty low. They get a customs bond, which costs them $500. They bring in the goods, and if the value is wrong, there's no real major consequences for them. They simply set up another entity, a new NRI, and bring it in again. Versus an American brand faces legal liability, right? Both fines and even worse if they do it at scale. So American companies are much more careful. Therefore, they pay a higher percentage of the time they pay the actual tariffs than Chinese do because of the NRI. And we